Hello, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday. I certainly am. I'm here with Chani and Vandana today. We're going to talk about Zero Trust. But before we do, I want to talk about CISO. That's why we're here. CISO is bringing us together today. CISO Exec is an open give-back platform. And what that means is it's a platform for information security professionals or people who want to get into information security. I'm one of the many volunteers in the community. We're managed by Meta Defense Labs. We work towards training and empowering a new generation of diverse and emotionally intelligent cybersecurity leaders in the talent pool, as well as developing that talent pool. The way we do this is, oh, sorry, I'm getting some feedback from my side, but it stopped, okay. 5-day boot camps, which we will hopefully have one virtually this year with more participants. We have quarterly meetups, usually face-to-face, but we'll see with the coronavirus and stuff, it might be virtual as well. And we have monthly mentoring calls, which I help Chani with the hosting. This month, we also have a special podcast series. This is one of them to celebrate the International Women's Day. And here we have Vandana. Tell us about yourself a little bit. What's your background, your current job? I know you're very active in OWASP and you're one of the leaders in OWASP, but let's hear from you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Didar and Chani, for inviting me and making sure that we all volunteer for the same cause. So about me, I am in the industry for over 14 years. I have flipped around in different domains, started with the network security, application security, cloud security, and now I'm a product security architect, or we can say security solutions architect with my company. When it comes to open source communities or pro bono work, I work very actively with OWASP, which is Open Web Application Security Project. I'm one of the leaders at Bangalore, and also I'm one of the global board members for OWASP. Apart from that, I also work with InfoSecGirls. I'm president for InfoSecGirls. So we try and make sure that Indian girls get on to the wider stage, and we all connect. Right now, I am connecting with you similar ways we do InfoSecGirls Tech Talks online via YouTube channel, wherein we can connect multiple people together. We also help them in going to the conferences, mentoring them. We started with the schools as well. So we train girls and like all the students in school for STEM as well as cybersecurity. Apart from that, I work with multiple other communities, but that's majorly about me.
That's great. I love this opportunity to finally meet you as well. And this is an opportunity I have via CISO Exec. And so thank you, Chani, as well for this. A little bit about me, I'm Didar Gilici. As I said, I volunteer with CISO Exec, and I volunteer with some other communities as well, Ladies of London Hacking Society being one of them. I do like connecting with people and learning from them. So today we're going to talk about Zero Trust. So tell us, what does it mean? What is it? Why do we need it? And why do we need it now? And how do we go about doing it?
Sure. Thank you. Let me just share my screen and then we can get started with Zero Trust. Please let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yes, yeah, I can see. So I forgot to do the disclaimer that anything we talk here is all our own personal views, not of our employers. So that's the disclaimer out of the way. Over to you.
Thank you so much. This is very, very important. So now we've been talking about multiple things about Zero Trust. With this presentation, I'm going to be briefing what Zero Trust trust is. I will also touch upon a little bit about the architecture, the technical architecture, and there are certain things, practices or the technologies that we can get into it. I'm not going to be talking about the vendors. I'm not going to be talking about the vendor technologies, but what we can do as an organization, as the people working for an organization, to build a zero trust. So some people say that it's a concept, some people say it's a technology, but let's see what we have. We will give away we will actually provide takeaways at the end of the session, and we can talk more about it. So this is what we call a traditional security model, or a conventional security model, wherein we always thought that good guys or good people are inside the firewall and bad people are outside the firewall. It's like a castle and a moth model, wherein everything outside the castle is bad. Like people are trying to attack the castle, but whosoever stays within the castle is like a good people and they're trying to secure it. So this approach actually lacked the in-depth thing that we are looking for in the dynamic digital world that we have. So the approach that we needed, or we need right now, is actually not there. If you've not uh, related that, if you see this is what, especially with the network security people, we are very familiar with this kind of a model wherein everything is being protected by a firewall. And people see that, yes, if we are behind the firewall, we have good people. Whosoever is outside the firewall is not at all a nice person. So we have to make sure that we are all secure. If not this, I'm sure people have seen this, and we've seen that in conventional model we have divided the infrastructure in three different parts: public, private, and the DMZ zone, or untrusted DMZ and trusted zone. DMZ is a demilitarized zone, and every zone is being protected by one or two firewalls. So if we say that, yes, this model is there, but still we could see that this model or trust model has been continued to be abused. We have still seen the major breaches in the past, especially in the recent years. We have seen like the major breaches which we could have ever seen. So traditional network security architecture breaks the network into different zones, which is contained by, as I said, one or more firewalls. And uh, we still have to go ahead and see what exactly we can do, or we could have done in the past, to secure our environment. So let's see. So can we trust a server? If we are working on a server, can we trust it? No, we can't, because we have seen that there are servers getting breached. How about a client? No, we can't trust. How about a network? No, we can't trust. So what can we do? If we can't trust a network, we can't trust a client, either don't trust, or can we say trust but verify? The basis of model of cybersecurity is built on prevent, detect, remediate, and predict. And if we have all of these, still why do we see the breaches? Also, to highlight, we've seen that the security model has advanced over the years. We started off with access control lists, then we moved ahead with the role-based access control. We flipped to the principles of least privilege. Then now we are talking about zero trust model. Why we moved ahead with or leaving behind all those models, or even if we are taking them along, why are we choosing different models now? The problem with the RBAC or principles of least privilege was that it allowed the subject to be assigned multiple roles and permission, which actually loosened the point wherein we defeated the purpose and intent to control in the first place. When we are giving multiple permissions to one person, how are we controlling the permissions? How are we having the principles of least privilege? Think about, I have admin privilege to certain accounts and I'm part of one of the teams. But suddenly I move to a different team. When I move to a different team, if I still have those accesses, I am in trouble. Think about, I have those privileges and I leave the organization. If my accesses are not removed, I might be in trouble. So all of these challenges, like, um, to rectify, and now then we are talking about zero trust model. And zero trust model is not new. It's been there for a long. But then after all those hacks, breaches, or mishappenings, we started talking about these models. So what is a zero trust model? Zero trust model, we can say that to trust no one, not even the people who are behind the firewall. We cannot say that the people who are part of my organization are all good people and they're going to be securing my environment come what may. So in short, we could say that zero trust flips the mantra trust but verify into verify and never trust. And you again heard the word trust. Trust always plays an important part. And in the whole presentation, we will be talking about trust, identity, and what we should be doing. So zero trust actually advocates about making sure that we are gaining um, at minutest network traffic visibility. We are monitoring it, we are logging in, and all of it that we could do to make sure that we don't trust, and we always verify come what may. Now we're talking about zero trust. Let's learn about how it all came into picture. So it all started in 2010, wherein when John Kinderberg was working for one of the security firm or research firm, and then later on in 2011, Google came up with Beyond Corp. The objective of the group was simply to allow employees to work more securely from virtually any location, and a very progressive idea given that when Google actually came up with first Android phone, which was actually launched just 3 years earlier, and they still launched Beyond Corp to make sure that the employees can actually log in from virtually any location, but still making sure that their identities are being monitored and they are being tracked, and still giving them the platform to work from anywhere, like BYOD we are talking about. Then later on, in 2017, Gartner also came up with a Carta on the similar lines. Now, let's talk about why actually we need it. Because we've talked about that we need zero trust, but why we thought of having it at the first place? In 2015, the cost of a breach was 6 trillion. Now, cyber crime cost is actually going to be in 2021 is 6 trillion, which is like a very very heavy number, and it was reported by cybersecurity ventures. Also, one of the research by Ponemon showed that average cost of a data breach is 3.62 million, which is like a huge number. And as I said, that 80% of the breaches are caused by privilege access abuse. Now, here again, we talked about privileged access abuse. When we say privileged access abuse, it again particulates down to identity. Now, when it actually moved down to that, can we say that identity is the new security perimeter? Maybe we can say that. Or let's say we talk about it more, and then we come to a conclusion whether identity is the new security perimeter or not. One of my friend recently we were talking about zero trust. So my friend said that if you want to protect your computer, do not buy it. If you've already bought it, do not turn it on, because you need to have a credentials to log into that computer. So zero trust architecture. When we say zero trust architecture, it says that security perimeter is a thing of past. Companies are instead adopting that many in the industry call a zero trust security model, or we have seen that there are different terminologies for it. And when we start with zero trust architecture, we must always assume that the environment is hostile. And this is the core uh, tenant for zero trust, like where the whole environment is hostile, and we're going to be going ahead with the idea of that. This is a this is a plain architecture wherein the supporting system in this is called control plane. This is a control plane, and every other component attached to it is called data plane. Every other component here is data plane, which is being coordinated and configured by the control plane itself. So we have a control plane and then multiple components which are being attached to the control plane. So in zero trust, we first identify a protect surface. Now, what is this protect surface is all about? Because these are all terminologies which we are like going above my head. So it is made up of network's most critical and valuable data, assets, applications, and services. We can also call it as DAS. So protect services are always unique to any organization. Apart from that, when we have identified the protect surface, we need to create a micro parameter by deploying in segmentation gateway, or we can choose any other next generation firewall, wherein we are getting the minutest of details about allowed traffic, legitimate applications, which or what applications have access to what surface. So the segmentation gateway actually provides the granular visibility into traffic and enforces additional layer of inspection and access control. Now, when we say we need all of that, can we get more in deep into it? What exactly is the requirement to attain all of that? How can we build an architecture? What exactly is required for it? So we can compare and contrast with the traditional environment, wherein earlier we were using our client's application using Citrix, but then people started actually attacking Citrix application. Then everything went online, wherein we started talking about web apps, and people started attacking web apps because we have exposed our applications on the internet. Now, when a user is trying to access a resource, can we verify and identify with strong authentication, ensure that access is compliant, and follow least access principle? So we need to grant the minimum level of access to a user, which is on the need and requirement basis, or we need to check that whether the person is entitled. So when we say a person needs access to only certain level of access to an application, why he needs access to the network at the first place? It actually is not required. If I'm a part of development team, why do I need access to a QA system? Or when I am working on a QA system, why do I need access to a firewall? I don't think so I need it. If I don't need access to a server, I think my access should be revoked. So we need to make sure that whatever level of access is required, it has to be on the entitlement base. It could be based on the user identity, device posture, or many other things play a role in this. Now, can we isolate the network infrastructure? When we say infrastructure, it can be on-premise servers, it can be cloud-based VMs, it can be containers, microservices, because they are the critical threat vectors. So exposing internal applications and infrastructure to the internet makes them more vulnerable to all the attacks like DDoS, which is distributed denial of service, SQL injection, and many other application layer attacks. And always, if you think about cyber criminals, they're becoming more and more inventive, more and more creative with all those attacks. So exposing our internal infra effectively, we are actually letting them do whatever they want to do with our infrastructure. So as such, enterprise must isolate applications and access architecture from the public internet. Only the things which are required to be on the public facing, make sure that we are only exposing them, not anything and everything. Apart from that, we always talk about um, creating or having a WAF in front of our applications which are on the internet. But how about the malicious actors which are playing a part on the internet or the internal systems? Or let me give you an example. Think about we've seen that malicious actors leverage social engineering techniques, emails, um, social media, and many other techniques to prey individuals, which are using highly relevant, and so they're actually using highly relevant and personalized emails. How come they are able to do it? Because we have our details on the social media. It could be over Facebook, it could be over LinkedIn, it could be any other social media. We are tweeting, we are posting everything. Our details are updated on the social media, so they're actually being craftier. Now, when they are being craftier, if someone gets inside the network, getting someone's credentials, now they're inside now in their inside, they have made sure the person whose credentials or the server they have access to, they've made this person or the device zombie or a slave, which might not be known to the owner who's actually owning the device, or whose credentials the attacker is using. And if the machine will be executing the attacks on the corporate applications which are internal, who will get to know, or who will behind the who's or the applications which are behind the firewall. So it's very important if we have WAFs, which are internals also, because if there is an attack that will be moving from inside, or there is coming from inside, we would be able to protect them. So if we are protecting external applications, let's protect the corporate applications as well. And we need to keep in mind that these situations may occur because either one of our employees could be an attacker, or the employee account access might be compromised. Again, the identity plays a bigger role here. Another important part is principle of least privilege, which again always comes into picture. We talked in the previous slides as well. So this means giving users only as much as access they need. Like an army general giving soldiers information only need to know basis. They will never tell all the soldiers that these are my next moves. This is what we're going to do next. Only whatever they need to know. And all the commanders, all they will be following them. So in the zero trust architecture, all connections should require authentication. At the same time, authentication should be stronger than just a username and password. So what exactly come into picture? Now, before that, think about, we've been using BYOD. Most of the organizations I've seen, or I would say 75 to 80%, what the survey said, that the companies have started enabling bring your own device. So when we are trying to control the access, can we have strict controls on the device accesses as well? Wherein we are controlling the policies, what the person can have access to. Also, if they have admin access to certain things, can we control what exactly can be moved out of a container to their device? Yes, we can. So zero trust systems need to monitor how many different devices are trying to access the network, and ensure that every device is being authorized properly. So every device owned by the organization should be uniquely identifiable in a single device directory. It could be any directory, but maintaining that this person has access to 3 systems, and all the 3 systems are being monitored by the organization. So when these systems are trying to access the network, and making sure that every single one of them is authorized, not just one person, but that every single um, device is being authorized. This process actually will further minimize the attack surface for our network. Another important point is characterizing the data, or categorizing the data. We need to make sure we categorize, we label the data properly. We label it, whether it's internal data, whether it has to be shown externally, whether it's a restricted data, confidential data, and whether it has to be encrypted or not, where exactly it will be placed. So based on those attributes, we can actually define how exactly data would be secure. Because if we don't have proper labeling, we wouldn't be able to figure out if something happens, what data we have lost, whether it was restricted, controlled, what was it. When we have talked about all of it, MFA again plays another important part. And it's also one of the very important piece to attain zero trust security. By just entering a password is not only the main part, or not enough to gain the success. So in addition to entering a password, how about we use a second factor authentication for all of the devices, all of the services that we have? It could be using which may be a code being sent to the phone, using a authenticator, or any other thing. So it actually provides an extra layer of verification and security. And we've used in the past like authenticators, IBM Cloud Verify, RSA tokens, and many other technologies. Now, when we have multi-factor authentication, especially for in-house users or corporate users, can we have SSO also enabled, which is single sign-on? Because it enables user to log into all applications with one set of credentials, and again, enabling multi-factor authentication with it. Then once you're authenticated, authorized, then you can actually log into all other applications by just that same access. You don't need to put in your credentials multiple times. So making continuous access decisions on a multitude of signals, it include multi-factor authentication and SSO. It again emphasizing that multi-factor authentication, SSO, privilege users access control, it's very, very important to monitor. And multi-factor authentication is a must. Weak credentials, along with the reuse of username and passwords across applications, significantly, actually, they're increasing the enterprise attack surface. Can we use advanced threat protection? Given the device and services that are exposed to network attacks, which are actually part of the traditional or conventional architecture, it is important that we have comprehensive monitoring for attacks which are being carried out. We know what's happening in the industry. What are the attacks that are targeting similar kind of industries? So in order to remove trust from the network, we need to strengthen the devices and services. If I'm confident that the devices and services or the devices security is up to a certain degree, then I would not, or I might be able to remove my trust from the network, because we can't trust the network at all goes. Even apart from that, when we say despite having this wide variety of adoption of multiple layer security, we're still failing. So we have to have all these checks in place. Another important aspect is monitoring. Anything that goes out, that goes in, has to be tracked. We need to be very, very sure with auditing and confirming that all activities are being monitored. We are not blindly allowing anything and everything. So to do so, we have to make sure that we have visibility on what's happening in the network with ample of traffic, intelligence to make relevant comparisons. Apart from that, when we are saying monitoring, it again comes up with logging. If we have monitoring in place but we are not logging, we cannot backtrace. We cannot check what has happened. We cannot do the postmortem of any incident. And remember, hacking actually is inevitable. Attacks will happen. They have happened. Whatever you do, the system will get compromised. So we need to have an idea of our blast surface. We need to know what is our radius. Once we have an idea, uh, if an attack starts, we can try and monitor it. We can try and stop it then and there. And here, we cannot trust anything and everything. We have to monitor every single thing. And every organization has hundreds and thousands of servers in even applications. Even talk about APIs. We have APIs also now in place. If we don't monitor them, then the breaches will keep happening. And that's the best fit for the cloud. And why it's best fit for the cloud? Because in the cloud, when we go to a public cloud, we always think that our data is going to go somewhere out. So we're going to be going with the mindset that we need to have the credentials, which are very strong. We have multi-factor authentication enabled for our cloud accounts. And if we don't have it, remember, nobody is going to save us. So when we will be building the environments for the cloud, we will always remember that we need to have resiliency in mind. And if we don't have that, we are in trouble. And another aspect to it, that everything should be encrypted, which kind of contradict with the old conventional models. Here in cloud, we can actually say 100% encryption can be attained. I'll give you an example. So Deminoid is one of the torrent website, and Cloudflare provides access to Deminoid. So when a new film is released, someone ends up uploading it on that. One of the movie biggies in India, they got an order that all the ISPs should ban Deminoid for some time, which is actually being served by Cloudflare, which was completely banned because there were orders. Now, uh, when somebody tried to access in India, because they were trying to access some of the movies, it went ahead to the Cloudflare data center, which was in Mumbai, and again that moved ahead to the outbound pipe, which was controlled by by the ISP. Now, uh, everything is being monitored by the ISP. They had a global blockage. Why that global blockage happened? Because when the Cloudflare traffic went ahead to the ISP, they could see the traffic in the clear text, and they saw that it's coming for Demonoid, and they blocked, and the whole thing was cached. So it was not, remember that it was not a problem with the Cloudflare. It was because the traffic is being that was being terminated. So effectively, Demonoid was blocked across for some time. No one was able to access the website across the world. Although the Demonoid was running on HTTPS, the communication between the Demonoid was over the plain text with the ISP. Now, we have to make sure that all the communication is happening over HTTPS and over encrypted channels. Now, can we say the security is the new parameter after checking all of that, all of the things that we have talked about? And as I said, if you have a computer, don't turn it on. And zero trust, um, I would say that it's not for the faint heart. It forces you to unwind a legacy infra, legacy workflows, and processes that have been that have been around for like ages. So the larger an organization is, the more the complex infrastructure is. Also, zero trust concept, when we say it reduces the chance of breaches and strengthen our defenses. So it's very, very important. If you have any questions, concerns, or if you want to share anything, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm there on Twitter. I'm there on LinkedIn. You can drop me a note. I'm always open for feedbacks, and it's a gradual learning. I stepped into this particular zero trust architecture few months back, and I've started to understand how it works, what exactly we can do, and I've tried to stitch together certain aspects of it. Um, when we talk about BYOD, identity, and frauds, so I tried to stitch together how we can stitch together multiple technologies and build a zero trust architecture. So if you want to take a overview about that, I am very open for it. The technologies that I've used, I can actually share all the details about them. References, I've read multiple articles, taken a reference from multiple organizations. They've built how they have built the zero trust architecture, and all of them actually revolves around the same methodology, wherein we have to have uh, uh, identities which are being protected, authorization done, principles of least privileges being monitored, multi-factor authentication enabled, SSO should be there. So it's all revolved around the same kind of a mindset, and it's more of a concept which has to which needs our work, which can come into picture with using different technologies, tools. Now, I'm stopping here. I'm going to give it to Didar so that she can brief about uh, what she sees the platform is, how they do the give back to the community.
Thank you so much. It's before I do that, I do have a question for you. It's
Yes,
not really a question, but it's this topic is really, one of the buzzwords of this last few years, and I've been
right.
very interested in it as well. So when I was reading about it, there was stuff about what Google did and why they did it. And I heard some maybe rumors, maybe they're true, about them doing this because of how NSA monitors everything. And do you know much about that? What do you think about that?
I would say I wouldn't go into the, because that's something which is more on the political lines. But I would say that most of the organizations are building to make sure that their organization is safe and sound.
Mhm.
So if we think about any organization, even when we say OWASP, we have to make sure that we are building our architecture in such a way that our community is safe, the infrastructure that we have in house is secure, and
Mhm.
uh, we are catering to the wider audience.
Hmm.
So I would say that.
True. Yeah, and it's with the cloud, it's probably easier, but with the companies who have legacy stuff still in their network and architecture, where do they start?
So there are technologies which are coming in, which are actually stitching the in-house, which is on-prem with the cloud. So if you don't have, if you have legacy servers which cannot have SSO enabled, or which cannot have the OAuth or the new technologies enabled, there are reverse proxies which are coming into pictures. So we can actually take leverage or take help from all those new technologies, which can give you a reverse proxy, and you can stitch your on-prem to the cloud. So it's going to be more of a hybrid kind of environment, and your identities, the people who are part of your organization, the user data would still be with in-house, but again, you're giving them the extra leverage, or we are using the new technologies to enable them access, or enable their access to the new applications. Also, let's say if I want to maintain my Active Directory in-house, I can maintain it and still access all the newer applications, all the newer technology applications using the between stitch connector or reverse proxy, whatever we say it. So the companies can leverage all of that.
And how about external parties that need access to our systems, our partners, our clients? How do you, because they won't be on our Active Directory, how do we do that?
We can actually create a separate section for them saying that they are contractors, provide them the least privilege. If they need only read-only access to certain things, give them only read-only access. Create a certain group for them so that we know who is coming in our environment, who's going out, what data they're trying to view. If they're trying to add it something, they're trying to modify something, we are keeping a check on that, we are keeping a gate on that. If they have only access to read the data, they wouldn't be able to modify it. We are actually controlling it properly with their identity, that they will never be able to get beyond that point,
I see.
because we have
Implementation, that's the biggest challenge, I guess. Uh,
that.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the audience?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can.
Hi, I just had a quick question. I see there's a common thread here of monitoring everything.
Right.
Do you have any advice on how about implementing such a monitoring regime would be done?
So now, when we say cloud also provides certain technologies to monitor your environment. Now, when those logs are coming in, we can integrate with our SIEMs, because we have a so kind of environment wherein everything and anything which is being monitored. If we get the data, if we get the right set of data, we can monitor that. And by monitoring the right set of data, we can actually prevent certain breach. We would be able to figure out if someone externally is trying to access our environment, if someone is trying to access certain credentials, if there's some, even if the credentials are being breached, like there's someone who has actually got access to the credentials, but if there is any unknown activity which is happening, we will be able to get to know. Same goes with internal servers. If we have our systems properly set up to being monitored, all the logs are being going to the to one system which is monitoring anything and everything, that will help us.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, it's Chani. I think Dita asked some of the questions I wanted to ask. So thanks,
Sorry.
Adila. It's all right. That's good. I got a similar question to what Dita asked, actually. One of the challenges of Zero Trust has been the technical debt and legacy systems.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of companies out there which are small to medium companies who just go into cloud straight away. And I think Zero Trust model is something which is more suitable for cloud, I would believe. And so if someone's transforming their legacy systems into cloud, what could be like the first steps that they need to look into when they're planning that process?
So first of all, what I have seen the challenges that when it comes to legacy systems, people don't know their systems at all. Like, this exists in my network, or my system is running this. So we have to slowly and steadily move it to cloud. And if we can't move it to cloud, see what can be stitched together. We need to understand what technologies can help us in stitching that or bringing them together. As I said, that when we are talking about legacy servers being enabled with OAuth or when in newer technologies, can we leverage something which can help us making sure that we have our legacy system, um, in front of that we are putting a auth. So if we have that, it plays a big role. Another important thing is, if we have all the old servers, um, can we have proper authorization mechanisms in front of that? Can we monitor them properly? Because there are servers for which there's no patch that is going to be released. They're out of life. Still we have it in a system because we can't get rid of them. Come what may, we have to make sure that our organization is taking um, uh, budget and other things in mind. It's very easy to say that just get rid of them, but it's not so easy in the practical life. So we need to have proactive measures in that place. If, let's say, there is a vulnerability which might affect our internal servers or legacy servers, can we have the proactive measures to monitor if someone is trying to access those servers or someone is trying to hit those servers? Can we monitor that? So it's more towards proactive measures for legacy, and having proper identity in place, like proper authorization check, proper monitoring is very much required.
So for that type of scenario, for example, you also mentioned microsegmentation. How would
Yes.
how can you tell us a bit about that as well? Like, how would you apply if there's an end of life server? Would it work better to do microsegmentation and isolate it with
So,
the zero trust?
right. So can we segregate the networks? Because when we have segregated networks, let's say this is my legacy systems and this is going to be a segregated system, or this is going to be my segregated network. I need to make sure that I have more, like, I am monitoring my other systems, but then I have certain more tools in front of it, so that if something happens, I can just stop it there. Can I create separate? When we talk about control plane, all the data plane, it specifically says that we are segregating everything in multiple chunks, and we are measuring them in those chunks. Because if something happens, let's say I'm trying to hit your network, but still I'm trying to hit Chinese network as well. So that will that will make sure that you both are in different networks, and you both are monitoring me separately. That yes, if something Vandana is trying to do, a malicious person is trying to do, I can control at different levels. It's not like that if something gets inside the network, it's going to destroy anything and everything. So
Yeah, because
microsegmentation plays a big role in that.
yeah, like, so if you use I know some technologies where you can have, firewall in front of every box pretty much, and then that kind of stops a lot of the attacks or anything that's trying to escalate, right?
Right. And even we can have layer 7 protection as well, which is like providing the granular access to it.
Yeah.
And zero trust is one of the concept wherein some people agree, some people don't agree to certain things. It's more of a concept, so people say that I don't agree, it's not very feasible for my environment. But it's just that when we start building a base, when we start thinking about it, then only we can move towards that. If we say
Yeah.
that we can't do it at all, we would never be able to take a step further.
I guess it's all depend on your risk appetite and your risk assessments, what kind of controls you want to apply, and then defense in layers in some ways, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely.
And business's priorities.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you
thanks,
so
Vandana.
much for taking us through this journey. I know a lot more now than an hour ago, so thank you so much. Chani, do you want to talk about upcoming events of the CISO. So you showed me the agenda, the draft agenda for the bootcamp, and it was really exciting for me.
Hi.
Hey.
Sorry, I'm in my pajamas still.
You look fine.
Yeah, we're planning for the online bootcamp, but to go virtual. So, which is new challenge, but something to look forward to. I think this is the time where we need to, learn, because we are all isolated. We need to still be connected and learn new things, get ourselves skilled up. So we decided we should go online. That way we can reach, people globally, not just locally. We're still planning for the classroom bootcamp, which we planned in July, but I don't think it's going to happen with the current climate. So we decided to go for online virtual bootcamp now. And we're going to be covering a lot of the topics. We're going to get a lot of people involved as well. So hopefully you'll see more news about this later. I'm still working on the project and we're still getting the team together. Yeah, so it'd be good to have you guys participating and speaking.
Yeah, and anyone else who's watching this, if you want to participate or give a lesson or just sponsor, just please write to us at info@cisoexec.org. And we have our monthly mentoring calls, which I mentioned in the beginning. It's third Tuesday of every month. And if you want to join to them as well, please again write to info@cisoexec.org so we can send you the invites for them. Yes, great. Anything else does anybody want to add? Are there any final messages to the community?
I would say thank you so much.
I say stay safe from the coronavirus. I hope we're gonna get through this all together. Vandana?
Yes, I was going to say thank you for joining us today. Stay safe. It's very important to stay in-house. Please don't go out. It's very important to stay digitally connected but socially distant.
Thank you. Anything else from Chani or Clive?
No, I think you guys covered. So stay safe and don't go partying inside just because you can't go outside. Keep the distance. I think it's for all of us. So if we can get through this, I think it will be better. So we reduce the number of deaths.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. And
thank you.
Good evening.